Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the show where passion meets purpose, and the game becomes something bigger than the scoreboard. Part of the Daily Parks and Rec Show, hosted by Aaron Locks. This is where we dive into the real impact of youth sports, the lessons, the challenges, the growth, and the moments that stay with us for life. From players to parents, coaches to community leaders, this is your place to feel inspired, connected, and reminded why it all matters. This is Youth Sports Mastery. Let's get into it.
Okay. Well, if we can make it work, we'll do it.
Sounds great. Welcome, everybody. I'm Aaron Locks. This is the Youth Sports Mastery Show, and I am fired up once again, as you know, but I've got Jonathan Carone here today. In a minute, I'm going to introduce him and give you more details. But as always, I like to make sure we thank everybody who has been supporting the efforts to show, everybody behind the scenes at the Youth Sports Mastery team, the podcast, everything is put together with Craig, and the team's done a phenomenal job. There's some really interesting little video we're going to play in a minute here to kind of give you a little insights on really what's been going on. You know, we're trying to do everything we can to enlighten, educate, maybe even entertain in the youth sports space, but really focus on the Parks and Rec, because I do believe that is the backbone of everything in the community. And Craig, if you can run that, let's get this thing going and we can dive right on in.
Every career is a choice, but few careers let you touch lives. Not once in a while, but every single day. Step into a park on a Saturday morning. You'll hear children laughing on the soccer field, families gathering for a picnic, seniors walking the trails, finding health and friendship. And behind every smile, every memory, is a Parks and Rec professional. We don't just mow fields, we grow confidence in young athletes. We don't just build playgrounds, we create safe spaces where childhood thrives. We don't just plan events, we design moments that anchor generations. Think of the coach who teaches patience, the director who champions equity, the staff member who sees potential in a child no one else believed in. Every day, Parks and Rec professionals shape character, preserve beauty, and strengthen community. And the path isn't easy. Budgets are tight, resources stretched thin, but the reward, unmatched. Because what you give comes back in legacy, in healthier communities, in lives forever changed. So why dedicate your life to Parks and Recreation? Because here, your work never ends. It lives on, in laughter echoing across playgrounds, in green spaces preserved for the next century, in the young professionals rising to lead tomorrow. This is not just a career, it's a calling, it's a legacy, it's Parks and Recreation. A message from the Parks and Rec community. At DPRS Media Co., we believe Parks and Recreation isn't just a service, it's the heartbeat of our communities. We exist to honor the people, the vendors, and the leaders shaping the future of Parks and Rec. Our mission is simple: to tell their stories, highlight their careers, and celebrate their essential work. Our vision is bold: to be the trusted hub where leaders, vendors, and communities unite, inspiring innovation, sharing wisdom, and building a stronger, healthier nation. Through over 220 live shows and 6 weekly series, the Leadership Series, Facility Maintenance, Young Professionals Network, Youth Sports Mastery, The Rec Room, and Growing Leaders, plus our industry-leading newsletter, the weekly Parks and Rec Post, we're building a media platform made for the Parks and Rec community. And now, we're inviting strategic partners to co-create this story with us. As a partner, you'll gain 12 hours of annual live exposure with custom shows highlighting your expertise, polished 60-second promos refined for maximum impact, year-round visibility with dozens of replays across our media network, premium features in our newsletter, and amplified social media reach across LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. This is your chance to educate, inspire, and lead while connecting directly with the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. This is DPRS Media Co. Let's build the future of Parks and Rec together.
Every time I see that, man, it just gives me chills. It gets me fired up because it's such an important topic. And we've been blessed to have Jonathan join us today here on the Youth Sports Mastery Show. Jonathan, I'm going to grill you. I got lots of questions, but I think as we dive in, I think it's important that the audience, especially those that have not been blessed enough to see what you got going on, give us a little bit about your background and thank you for your time. And actually, more importantly, thank you for all that you're doing for Youth Sports, man. It's big time.
Thanks for having me. I'll try to keep it short. So basically, my undergrad degree is sport management with minor in coaching. I have a master's in student ministry. When I was in undergrad, I worked for the football team at Liberty for 2.5 years, and I was in the athletic department as a grad assistant for a year. So I've been in both of those worlds. Worked in student ministry for 3 years with a large high school ministry in Tennessee. So I got to see it from that perspective as well, in terms of like watching high school kids like go through this at a couple large high schools in Tennessee, and help parents on the supporting side of that. And then the past 11 years, I've had my own business. But through my kids starting to play sports, my kids are 8 and 10 now. It started a couple years ago with like 7 and 8 year old YMCA basketball, where I'm watching people go crazy at 8 o'clock in the morning, treating it like an NBA game.
Yeah.
And then last fall, we were at a soccer tournament, and I saw a dad yell at his like 8 or 9 year old daughter on the side of the field to the point where she started crying and like leaned into mom, and he kept going even though she was crying and leaned to mom. And like I had the thing I always tell people is I had sympathy for that girl, but I had empathy for that dad, because I was convinced, just looking at him and sizing him up, no one had ever taught him why he was feeling the need to express himself, that why he couldn't regulate his emotions in that moment, why he felt like that was the best response. And so I'm like, if no one's teaching us, I'm convinced that parents want to do better, but most of the time they haven't been taught how.
Right.
And so I went to the gym that week and asked a couple parents there. I was like, hey, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about this idea? That was in November of 24. Went home, they liked it. So I went home, reached out to some people, and the first episode of the podcast launched in January of this year.
Wow.
And so it's been 8 months of go, hit 80,000 followers this weekend.
Yeah, that's congratulations, by the way.
So
That's
thank
such
you.
success, man. I love it. Your impact is phenomenal. I watch how everything comes across. I love the sense that you have this, I'm not going to say self-deprecating component, but you're human, man. You're not lecturing people. You're just having a conversation. And we're on the Daily Parks and Rec show here with Youth Sports Mastery. And, you know, my background working for John Wooden, you know, obviously I started at the top. It was kind of easy.
Did a video quoting him today, actually.
There you go. Right. Exactly. Not hard to do. Right. There's a lot of them. And being able to connect the dots from guys that did it at that level to bring it down to this. And what you said is so important, is that as parents, there's a strange pressure that's put on us that right now I think has been the accelerant, right? This gas behind it that is crazy. So I'm curious, when you look back on your experience, you talked a little bit about it, but whether it's with your own kids or your experience, I'd love to get a little bit more background. Everybody's heard my story and what's going on with that, but I'd love, give me more, man. Talk a little bit about it, because it wasn't a light switch that went on like instantly for you, although I'm sure there was parts of it like there's a need, but this had to be gradual, right? This is something that's built up. You don't just instantly come up with this, or maybe you did.
The idea for healthy sports parents happened like through a bad soccer season last fall with my daughter. So it was kind of a slow burn over a month or two. But
time out real quick. I just want to say something. When you say bad soccer season, you're not talking the wins and losses of the games.
No, I don't even know if they, like, I don't know how many games they won and lost. I'll save the personal side of it. Yeah. I'll keep that part out. But there was a game we were watching, and my daughter just seemed super disengaged. And like to the point that she didn't want to be there. And so we left that. Her team lost that game. It was the first loss of the season. I do remember that part, because there was a mom on the team that was like, oh man, I was hoping they would win every game this year. And I was like, no, they're playing like dog doo-doo. They deserve to lose. They need to lose. It teaches them that they're not the best in the world. Right. But we go home, and me and my wife were just like, what's going on? So we didn't say anything that day. We waited till the next day, and Liv was in her room kind of watching TV or something. I don't know what she was doing. I was like, hey, what happened yesterday? Like, you seemed like you didn't want to be there. I was like, I'm tired of getting yelled at. That was a 9-year-old saying that, like unprompted, like, what happened? I'm tired of getting yelled at. So we talked it through, and one of her assistant coaches that had self-described said she wanted to turn the girls into beasts. That was the phrase she used. Like, we don't turn these girls into beasts.
Wow.
And so the way she was coaching the way that she was coached growing up. And there was a bunch of yelling. It was a bunch of running as punishment. And so the rest of the year just kept getting worse and worse from an emotional standpoint, to the point that my daughter was asking to leave the team, like to quit playing soccer, to leave the team, didn't want to finish the season out. So we had to have a lot of conversations about how the other girls were counting on her and stuff like that. And by the end of the season, so just a little background, our town is so small that our local league is co-ed. A couple years ago, Liv said she wanted to stop playing when she was going into U10 because she was tired of playing with the boys. I just so happened to go to church with the CEO of the big giant club in the city south of us.
Okay.
And I emailed him. I was like, "Hey, Scott, can we have a team that practices up here and plays in your rec league?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I started this team that she was on. So this was their like third season together, excuse me. And it just so happened some girls that she goes to that are in her class at church were on a different team together. So by the end of the season, I was like, "Hey, if we can get you on Miss Nikki's team next spring, like it'd be about a 25, 30-minute drive to practice, but you know how they practice, you know that they sing Taylor Swift songs at practice, all those things. Like, would you want to play?" And that really excited her. Right. And it kind of showed her that she had like, that I wanted what was best for her. It wasn't about me. And so we actually did that in the spring. They were terrible, dude. Aaron, that team was such a, like, I think they won one game all year, but those girls cheered each other on during the game. They had so much fun at practice. They did this thing where if they connected enough passes, the coach would get them donut holes for practice. And so, like, even though it was a 30-minute drive, she had so much fun. By the end of the season, I asked her, I was like, "Hey, do you want to play with this team or do you want to go back to your old team in the fall?" She decided she wanted to go back to her old team. She wanted to play with some of the friends she went to school with, which I was totally fine with. But there was a joy that was back with soccer. And I'm actually coaching that team this year, so I get to be a part of it, which that's a whole different story. But she's a ball girl for the middle school team this year. So she's in 5th grade. She's a ball girl. She's asking to get to practice 20 minutes early. She's still not that great of a soccer player. She's still not putting stuff out. It's still a social event for her, but she's starting to catch that bug. And so one of the guys that helps me coach, he's the athletic director at the high school. He's like, "Yeah, this would have never happened had you not done what you did in the spring." And it had to be on her terms.
You know, it's so important you're talking about this as a parent. I've got 2 kids and they played every sport known right across the board. And I think it's so important that we understand our kids why. You know, my daughter, when she played softball for the first time, we kind of let her play at 8 rather than younger because it's a slow sport. And we wanted to know her why. Because every year I said, "Okay, do you want to play?" "Yes." "Okay, what's your why?" My daughter wanted the matching uniform and she wanted the pigtail. "That's it. Let's go. You know, let's play it." You know.
I specifically remember sitting in Olivia's bed last fall when all this was going down. I was like, "Hey, I think you really enjoy playing soccer." "I do." "I don't think you care how good you are." "I don't." "I think you just want to play with your friends." "I do." And you know what, Aaron, at 9 years old, okay, let's go play a game with your friends. Because she also does dance. She also rides horses. She like does the run club at school. So it's like she doesn't want to specialize in this one thing. She just wants to be active with her friends and compete a little bit. And she's starting to catch that bug going into middle school next year. That I think that if we keep fostering this, she could turn into a good player. Like, she's not going to be a Division I athlete. I know her genetics. So like that's off the table. Like we understand that from the get-go, but like, how can she learn these life lessons through sports? And it only starts if we bring joy into the game, because the second it stops being fun, they're out.
Yeah. You know, I wrote about this, and I think it's so important, is that youth sports should become a JOB instead of a JOY. And if, at a young age, if it's their job and they're forced to specialize and play one sport year round, and you gotta, you know, they're gonna get out of it. And the scary part, which I know you know the stats, but to share it out there, I think in Parks and Recreation, what I'm seeing, that the rec leagues that I see, that they're out there, that everybody plays, and even some of them that have equal play time in the first half and rotations and parent volunteers, whatever it is, I love it, because it's such a great place for them to just experience it, like you said, with their friends, because most, especially on the girls' side, really it is about friendship and what they develop through that more so. But here's what I found. They get to a place where they start to go, "You know what? I do want to get better. I
And
do
it's
want,
normally around 13, 14, but we
right.
got to get them there first.
You got to get them there, right? So that's my question. How do we close that gap? Because the scary stat to me, I was with Project Play in Berkeley, and they brought it out, and they said that only 48% of boys and girls under the age of 13 are signing up to play on a team sport each year. And most quit after 2 seasons because it's too much pressure. Where when I grew up, now granted I'm older than dirt, but 9 out of 10 kids did. So help me, Jonathan. I mean, you're living it, you're doing it. So how do we clean that up so we can get from 48% and let them not only want to play, but to give them the opportunity where they can stick with long enough when it becomes fun?
So the hard part about that question is, I know we have an hour to talk here. We could talk about this for an hour for the next month, and we're not going to have a great comprehensive solution.
Yeah.
So I think we have to start this conversation knowing we aren't just behind the 8 ball. The 8 ball is up against the wall, and we don't really have a great shot anywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't want to throw it to be just travel ball, because it's not just travel ball. Like, right. I know this is a Parks and Rec show, so I'll just throw this out there. I have never lived in a town. I'm 38 years old. I've never lived in a town where the Parks and Rec department ran the recreation leagues. It has always been private nonprofit organizations who have done the rec leagues. So where I live now, we have like King Little League, we have Stokes United Soccer, we have West Oaks Prowlers, like the football, Skibble for basketball. They're all private organizations. So what I think it starts with is there has to be a commitment within the community to providing access to sports.
Yeah.
And that's local government, that's parents, that's schools, that's everyone. So it can't just be one thing. I'll give you an example. We're our basketball league got destroyed by COVID. Like, it just, there were kids.
You're not the only one. A lot of them.
It almost died. Last year, our high school took it over. And so it's still its own nonprofit organization, but it's connected to the high school, where the high school coaches, boys and girls, provide coaching clinics for the coaches who decide to sign up. They do for the younger kids because we don't start play until 3rd grade. So for your kindergarten through 2nd graders, they have a couple clinics on Saturday mornings throughout the year. Good. But they get the high school varsity athletes involved. Yeah. They get so there's support from the whole idea is yes. And so it's got to connect from the top. So it's not just like the high school is where you want to get to. It's realizing that as a high school, for us to be good, we need to start investing in our younger kids.
Right.
The soccer team that I'm telling you about that I'm coaching this year, that's with that other league. What we did was we realized that because of the age groups this year, the 2014 kids are in 6th grade. And our middle school, we're a small school, like we're a small area. So this can't happen everywhere.
Right.
We didn't cut kids in middle school. We had 22 girls try out for the girls soccer team. We kept every single one of them because the thought process was this gets them trained and helps them. So by the time they get to 8th grade, hopefully they're doing good. Right. But what we did was I talked to the coach of that team and said, hey, we've got a rec league team that these girls are in the age group for. So some of your younger girls who need some more time on the ball, we're only practicing once a week. We're playing once a week. Come on down. Like, we'd love to get them better. And so what that's now is they invited our girls to be ball girls for their team at home games. So this past Tuesday, I had a couple of my 5th graders over at the middle school chasing down balls that go out of bounds, but they're getting to watch the middle school girls. Yeah. And after the game, the middle school girls all thanked them for being there. Yeah. So when you're in 5th grade, an 8th grader is a god to you.
Right.
When you're a 4th grader, those high school juniors and seniors are the coolest people in the world. Those are your heroes.
Right.
And so when you can get an entire community rowing the right direction, which is hard, like I don't want to oversimplify that, but it takes leadership from the city or the community, from the high school down to the middle school. Like, it can't just be competition based. It's got to be what's best for the kids.
So at the National Cav Athletics, we partner with Parks and Recreation departments. And what we're doing is we're helping them to bring recreational sports back to the communities. So like with your city, if they needed a volleyball program, we would bring our staff, come in, provide everything, and work with to run a recreational league, not competitive base,
Right.
but fun base, and to grow the sport, right? To grow kids playing more. That's been our model, and that's why over 350 cities work with us, because we're able to help grow that. And the key, what you said, I think is so great, is whether it's a private organization like us that's working with the city, it's really got to be the mentality of the city, because they're the one that control it. They control the fields, right? One of the challenges I see right now at a lot of locations, they say, well, we have 1,200 kids playing soccer. I said, I understand that, but of those 1,200 kids, you're an elite club, right? An elite, I'll put category, right? That means it's more money, and that means that we're taking some kids that can't afford it, and it's also it's competition based. So realistically, even those that aren't, they never get a chance, like you said, to nurture, to give them the opportunity.
Right.
So do you think that it's educating? Because to me, I think that if we can educate, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to educate the Parks and Rec professionals, but I think you've got a thumb on it in terms of educating the parents.
Yeah.
So how do we do more of that?
So I think you got to have voices who are empathetic, but educated. So the example I'll use is this, like, I'm on the board of my local soccer club. So my son plays for our local one. My daughter plays for that one down in Winston, but I'm on the board of that. And like so last fall and last spring, we had an end of season tournament in the rec league and we had parents acting out. We had parents get kicked out. Like, we had all sorts of issues, both seasons. And so this summer I suggested we get rid of it because I don't think our parents can handle it. And there was pushback. Well, the kids all loved it. And I was like, okay, that's okay. But the second we start keeping standings throughout the year, then the mistakes you make in week 1 now last for 8 weeks. And so kids aren't as likely to go out and do something that's brave, to try something new. And so I had to get the board on board. And so they ended up buying in. Thankfully I had a couple other people who were on my side with that as well. So it wasn't just me banging this drum. But then we went to our coaches meeting at the beginning of the season, and we told the coaches that we weren't doing a tournament this year. Instead, we're going to do like a festival where every team gets to play 2 games, but it's not going to be based on the whole season. It's just going to be, we're going to figure out who did the best throughout the year, put those together so that every kid's challenged.
Every match them up.
Yeah. And a couple of parents are like, well, like, what about the competition? Are we not gonna have competition? Like, I had to explain to them, like, no, we're doing 1 week competitions. We're doing 7 1-week competitions, and the 8th week will just be the little festival thing. And we had to educate the coaches that, like, hey, 70% of kids quit by the time they're 13. Number one reason is because they say it's not fun. All right, well, what does fun mean? And I don't know if your listeners know that, like, the data on that is, like, there was a study done, basically asked, like, what do kids find fun in sports? And of the 82 things listed, winning came in 48th. The things that made sports fun were competition, playing with your friends, getting playing time, learning new things. So I had to explain, me and one other guy had to explain to our coaches, like, we're all about competition, but we want it to be one game competitions that doesn't have a tail. And so there was still some grumbling, but they ended up getting on board. So it's just educating, like, hey, I know this might go against what you think and what you feel, but there have been legitimate scientific studies done on this. And so joy is the number one reason kids play. If it's not fun, they stop playing. So if we want to create a community of kids where they continue playing soccer or continue playing baseball, continue playing whatever, after 7th grade, we have to provide them opportunities and we have to make it fun. And if we can't do that, like, you can compete and have fun. Dude, I just, like, walking into this interview, I have a standing disc golf game on Thursday with some friends of mine.
Okay.
So my feet are I still have dirt everywhere. I changed shirts, threw a hat on. So I've still got dirt. I smell so bad right now, but it's because I was walking around the woods for 2 hours, throwing little plastic discs in the woods, competing against myself. Cause I know I'm not going to beat them, but I had my best round at that course today. Nice. So I left thrilled. And so it's like, it's not about winning, it's about competing and finding joy in that.
The word that I love, which John Wooden used to talk about, is competitive spirit, right? Mm-hmm. And if we can give them and inspire a competitive spirit in these athletes, then it also helps them to deal with the failure side of it, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's the issue I see going on, is a lot of parents, we're afraid to let our kids fail.
Yes.
right? And so let's talk about failure for a second. Tell me a little bit about how you're thinking, how we can help parents, rec departments, et cetera, deal with failure with their kids. Because coach said failure is never fatal until you blame somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was in New York and I got to meet Tom Selleck, of all people, and we were talking about this. And he said the challenge is they're not learning individual accountability. And when they do, it's with a sledgehammer when a tack hammer would be a much better message.
So there's the old Kobe quote. I'm pretty sure it's Kobe. It says there's no such thing as winning or losing. There's only winning and learning.
Yes.
And so we have to frame it as like, so, all right, I'll use an example to get my point across. Each week when I coach, I have a word of the week with my girls before we go into practice. And this week's word was bravery. And I asked them, I was like, can you guys be brave enough to be bad at something new so that you can get better at it as we go?
Love it.
And so like I had to teach them, like, messing up is okay if you're trying something new. If you're not messing up, then you're not trying to learn.
Right.
And so earlier in the season, we did, like, our word of the week was win. I was like, let's talk about winning. Like, every girl is going to play every position this season because you need to learn how to play. It's just part of the game.
Right.
So there will be games and times where we don't have our best lineup on the field. So we might lose on the scoreboard. So what I want you to do, I want you to go home, talk with your parents. What are your personal wins this season? What are some things that as we go through this year, you can name as a personal win? Because then what we're doing is we're reframing losses as learning opportunities. Okay, we lost on the scoreboard, but I played a new position and I got more comfortable at it. So that's a win.
Right.
We lost on the scoreboard. Okay, why did we lose? Well, we didn't play hard. We didn't play smart. We didn't play together. Okay, well, if we do that, then we're going to, like, we got to, and so I think adults have put so much emphasis on winning.
Right.
And we can get into I don't want to say it's not, I don't think it's ego. I think it's insecurity. We can get into the insecurities of why adults focus so much on winning if you want, but adults have put so much emphasis on winning that when kids lose, they feel like they disappointed mom and dad.
Yeah.
When in reality,
we have to be able to find that balance within. But I like what you talked about because, what we do at Nash Cap Athletics, we teach them to focus on the effort rather than just the result. We want results, right? When I coached my daughter's third grade team, and I was like, only my daughter's the only one who played basketball before. Yeah. They had all these girls together. And I'm like, all right. So I did the fundamental drills and I'm like, all right, we're going to focus. So each quarter, here's what I said. I said, I want 10 shots, right? And I tried to show them what a good shot was. And I told them the fundamentals, but 10 shots. So the girls on the sideline had the clipboard. And every time we shot it, it would be one. Whether it went in or not, we counted the effort. Sometimes the ball went over the backboard and we're celebrating the shot. The other teams look like we're nuts, right? But you know what I found? By the end of the season, we made maybe 2 buckets because of luck and 2 buckets because of skill. That's 8 points a quarter, 8, 16, 24, 32. Guess what happened by game 3 through 10? We started winning all the games. Yeah. We're having more fun than anybody. And so that's the mentality and the shift that we have to be able to educate the coaches. But to your point, if we don't get the parent buy-in to that and they understand what we're trying to do, then we get the hammer, and that's not going to be good, right?
I mean, to your point, like, that's not just third grade. That's like, I'm the PA announcer for my high school's baseball team. I used to help coach there, and I'm the PA announcer now. And so, like, I remember last year, our coach had different things that they tracked throughout the game. And one of them is reading the ball in the dirt and getting and stealing a base. And so one of our guys who was a pitcher, whenever he wasn't pitching, he would be the one charting. And so it became a joke that whenever we saw a dirt ball, I would yell, "Mark it down, Charlie." And so it became those little things, but it's finding the wins, because you can't always define success on the scoreboard.
Right.
And you could play your best game of the year and lose, and you can play like dog doo-doo and win. So if our identity comes in outcomes, then man, that's a losing effort regardless.
So one of the things we focus here at NAFA is called proximal play. And I think it's really important. I do it in business and I do it in life. And the deal is that when kids play on a team, they have to be set up enough where it's challenging enough that they keep their interest, but not too challenging where they don't have a chance to have victory. As an example, we run a little basketball program to just intro for 4 and 5-year-olds, right? So If we went to a regular hoop, it's 10 feet. There's no chance. They're not going to be able to make a basket ever. That's not going to be good. So we brought in the lowered hoops, bring it in. And now all of a sudden they're challenged enough where it's fun and they have to learn the fundamentals and play, be as a teammate and all the skills. But guess what? They have a chance to be successful. And granted, they still only shot, 1 out of 30, but it's okay because they had a chance. We have to create that environment to do that.
The flip side of that is my son played basketball, YMCA basketball in first grade.
Okay.
And they played on 9-foot rims. First graders, even with smaller balls, can't get the ball to 9-foot rims.
Yeah.
So he didn't his team didn't win at all. Like he had a really bad experience because my son, who is the math brain, his best thing is that he sees where to go.
Yeah.
And because of the size of court they were playing on, he would go be open, but no one could pass him the ball. So he's like, I don't like playing this game. I never get the ball.
Right.
And so he didn't play last year. This year's his first year with the local private rec league, whatever. So I told him, I was like, dude, I want you to sign up. I don't want to play. Like your sister gave 2 years and she decided, I want you to give it to like this. If you don't like it after the season, like this is the only time I'm ever going to force you to do something just because I don't want you to end it on a bad year because he's out in the driveway, like going Kobe and like shooting stuff all the time, even though he's 8, like he doesn't know who Kobe is.
Right.
So it's like there is this idea that if we make sports too simple or too focus too much on fun, that we are not coaching competition, that we're not setting kids up for the future. But in reality, when we are age-based and do things focus on properly at the age, not as pre-professionals or not as young adults or anything like that, when we focus on them in the moment, then we actually can teach them the things that translate when they get older, as opposed to like, oh, well, they got to learn how to work hard eventually. Okay, well, let's set the foundation, but they're 9 years old, dude. Like, why are we treating them like 19-year-old college kids? Like,
all right, we got to run. We got a spot coming up, which I want to get to. We're going to get some water. We're going to come back. When we come back, if you're a youth sports parent or you've got to deal with youth sports parents, you're going to want to hear what we got to talk about next. We'll see you in a couple minutes. Go ahead and roll it, guys.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content, we elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. And powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
Are you ready to lead the next generation of Parks and Rec? Whether you're a student, intern, or rising leader, welcome to the Young Professionals Network by DPRS Media Co. Our mission? To empower early career professionals in parks and recreation through mentorship, visibility, and real-world leadership development. Our vision? A national network of passionate, prepared, and purpose-driven leaders who shape the future of public service. Starting now. Powered by the Daily Parks and Rec Show, YPN gives you access to exclusive interviews, career-building resources, behind-the-scenes content, and live events, all created by and for the next wave of Parks and Rec professionals. Learn from seasoned directors, build your brand, get involved with national conversations that matter. Whether you're in youth sports, facilities, programming, or policy, YPN is your launchpad. Young Professionals Network, your career, your community, your story.
Welcome back, everybody. If you are just joining us, where the heck have you been? You missed a great first half of the show, man. Great conversation. Jonathan is with us from North Carolina. I'm here in the wine country in Northern California, and we're talking youth sports. And Jonathan, we teased it as we stepped out and we were going down. And it's funny because we both get so passionate about this because we know the impact it has on these kids. And here's the cool part about it. When youth sports is done right, now again, we can define right, but when we really get into it, man, it's an amazing thing. I don't think there's any better life skill teaching tool than youth sports if done right. But the key thing that I want to talk about now, and I'll bring you into this, is this deal. The parents are a part of this, whether anybody wants them to be involved or not. We need the parents. So what we need to do is to take them from stumbling blocks to stepping stone. Now, again, I'm not saying step on parents. What I'm saying is to bring them into the fold and make this a better experience for everybody, because all stakeholders have to be involved, right? The coaches, the players, the referees, the administrator, all have to be involved with a common goal. Let's talk about youth sports parents. You're a youth sports parent. I'm a youth sports parent. I'm actually a youth sports grandparent. Look out, here we come, right? But let's talk about it. Let's give some tips. Let's give some insights. But before we get to the answer, would you talk a little bit about the perceptions, the realities, where we're at in the youth sports space in terms of the parents?
Yeah, I think this is where the empathy comes in, because we can criticize crazy parents all we want. We can criticize toxic parents, but I don't think that does us any good. I think understanding where people are coming from helps us lead them better. And what we have to realize is that youth sports hold up a mirror to all of our insecurities, all the things going on inside of us that we've buried super deep. Like, we see these little kids who we created or we love more than anything. And like, we see a kid get knocked down and the referee not call a foul. And we remember the time that we got knocked down on the playground and the teacher didn't care. And like, these things are so subconscious that we don't even realize they're there. Or we see our kid step up to the free throw line at the end of the game for a winning free throw, and we remember the time that we messed up in front of our friends. And that just brings up some feelings inside of us that, oh, if we don't take care of those, then like we're operating out of emotion instead of grounding. And what happens is we're so emotionally invested in our kids that we don't realize these other things are impacting how we think and feel about this. And so I think the first place we have to start is just understanding and empathizing with what's going on the sideline and why it's happening. And then realizing most parents have never been taught or shown why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. And when we understand that, we can say, all right, that person is a bit crazy. They're a bit toxic, but how can I help them through this? How can I help them understand what's going on and help them realize that this isn't what you're actually like. The reason you're feeling this isn't because your kid is doing this. It's because it's invoking this feeling inside of you. Right. Okay. Well, what do we do with that then?
Right. And a big part of that is probably, I know when we run our leagues, we do parent orientations. We have a league in here with 2,400 kids playing Catholic Youth Organization basketball, 11 different parishes. And we provide coaches training and we provide player clinics. By the way, if your kid's going to play, I really highly suggest get him to a clinic before, especially first time, get him acclimated to it, right? But the parent to bring them in, it's not a lecture, it's not a you must, it's more how do we, because the first question I always ask people, I did have a talk at Santa Clara not too long ago, and a bunch of parents there for a big soccer league, and I said, how many of you are excited for your kid to fail this season? And they all looked at me, I was nuts, and I'm like, but that's what this is. Sports is failure. And if you embrace the suck and you're okay with that, my journey as a parent is going to be so much better, right?
So one of the things that I've created is this weekly newsletter called The Weekend Playbook, which is just a Friday email to help parents' perspective on the weekend before they go into the games. And just a quick plug, I've created a version of that for league. So if anybody's listening and wants that, let me know. And it's fairly inexpensive. But one of the emails is like, hey, you should take your kid out for ice cream even when they play like garbage.
Yeah.
Because if we only reward them when they play well, then what we're saying inadvertently, not on purpose, saying to them is, we love you more when you play better. Yeah. Or our love for you, our joy watching you play comes when you play well. But when we take them to ice cream on a day that they like missed the shot, went 0 for 4, played like dog doo-doo, then we tell them, hey, I love watching you play. You're my favorite person on this planet. I want to watch no one other than you play because you're my kid. So let's go celebrate the fact that you played today. And then it's like, then we start giving our kid permission, like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. We turn the temperature down a little bit there. So it's just little stuff like that, that you and I and people listening to this, we live in this world. And so we're thinking about it a ton. Most parents are so dang stressed out trying to get home from work, get the kid to practice, figure out, are we going to go through the drive-through for the 3rd time this week? Like, they got to shower, they got to do homework. They've got like, when am I going to get the house clean? When am I going to, like, they're so stressed out by the run nature of it, that by the time they get to a game, they're so dang tired that we all know when we're tired, our emotions are the first thing to go. Right. Like, and that's like, I remember 3-year-old toddler, like tantrums, like, when they're tired, we know they're like, we're just big kids. Right. And so as people who live in this world, it's our responsibility to help those who don't live in it understand what's going on so that they can lead better. But we have to lead them first.
I love that. And, a tip that I'm going to play on, and then I'll let you kind of run with it, because I know we may have different stories, but interesting journey. Mm-hmm. So one of my good friends, VJ Stanley, is big in the space, and he's talked a lot about this. The car ride home. You just mentioned about the ice cream. To me, is one of the most vital parts. Now, with my kids, what I did was, as a single dad, I had 2 kids, and whoever just got done playing got to pick where they're going to sit in the car, right? If they want to sit in the front seat or the back seat, right? And my son, if he didn't think he played well, he would sit in the back seat. Right? If he thought he played well, he'd want to put the window down and sit up front. Mm-hmm. My daughter always wanted to sit in the front seat, younger sister, because she knew it pissed her brother off. That was fine, right? And then they got to pick the music, right? Whatever they want to listen to, we put the music on. When I talk, we just listen to music and just celebrating it, whatever, and go through. And the last thing is they got to pick where we were going to get the Slurpee or the eat or whatever it was. And basically gave them all the control, right? They just worked hard. Let's celebrate you, and did that. And it was funny how I watched this. And it really became evident to me when my daughter was a 4th grader, and we were playing up in a town called Cloverdale, probably about the same size as your city. And we were driving back, and she said, let's go to Applebee's. Commercial for Applebee's, right? So we go to Applebee's, and we sat down. And before we could even get our meal, she pulled out the white and pink sugar packets. She put the defense that the team was playing against us, and she was diagramming it Dad, we could have done this, and we would have been. That's what you want, right? Mm-hmm. Them bringing to us, which she's thinking about it, she's living it, she's processing it. We lost the game. She wasn't crying about it. She was thinking already, how are we going to be better in that? And that to me. So if you're out there, make a plan for the ride home, because that's going to be an important ride. Win, lose, or draw, whatever the case is. What do you got?
So the way I say that is, the car ride home is the worst possible place for unrequested feedback.
Wait, time out. Say that again. That's a good one, man.
The car ride home is the worst place possible for unrequested feedback. Meaning, that doesn't mean it's the worst place to talk about things, but only if your kid wants to go there. Because what we have to realize is our kids just spent an hour to 2 hours giving everything they had. So they're physically exhausted. They're emotionally exhausted. They're probably a little socially exhausted too, because they've had people around them so much. And so if we then go and give them unrequested feedback, they're not in the right place to learn it, to receive it. But every kid is different. Mm. Some kids just want to sit and stew, and they got to internally process it. Some kids, they want to go through everything and complain. And if your kid's a complainer, like, just listen, don't fix it. Just listen to what they're saying. Some kids want to ask questions and like get feedback. So the key, and the reason why that unrequested word is such a vital part of that, is some kids want feedback. And if that's you and your kid and your kid's asking for it, it needs to be overwhelmingly positive, but let them lead. The whole conversation, just like you said with your daughter, needs to be led by the kid based off of what they want to talk about. So like in seminary, I had a professor who was older than dirt at the time, but like, dude literally wrote the book on Sunday school, like literally wrote the book on Sunday school. He had this axiom that he would tell us. He said, methods are many, principles are few. Methods may change, but principles never do. And that stuck with me like 15, 16 years later, because it's so true. Like the principle here is that you shouldn't give unrequested feedback to your kid in the car ride home. The method though is, okay, yours is where kid picks where they eat, kid picks where they sit, whatever. Like ours is what we listen to. Like you played the game, you get to pick the music.
Yeah.
And so like the method can change because every kid is going to be different. Some kids want they want to feel it. But what I want people to hear as well though, is the way our brains are wired, it takes 5 to 10 positive pieces of feedback to counteract one negative comment or one critique.
Wow.
So if you are sitting there and just critiquing after the game, your kid is going to hear criticism. So you have to be overwhelmingly encouraging so that the critique doesn't feel like it's super negative. You can be like, well, I told him one good thing and I told him one bad thing. Well, just imagine you go out with a friend to dinner. Aaron, you and I go grab lunch together or whatever, and we have a great conversation, but you say one thing about that thing I'm insecure about. What am I going home thinking about?
Right.
Not how great the conversation was. Why was he such a jerk and had to pick on me that way?
Yeah.
And now you and I just met. Imagine if it's mom or dad doing that.
Right.
The weight of it is so much heavier. So when we give this feedback, we have to make sure we're overwhelmingly encouraging so that the critique doesn't feel like criticism.
So how do we blend? So we use a program. The way we teach is called talk, teach, play. Everything we do at the National Capital Athletics, it's 3 minutes maximum verbal instruction. I'm coaching. So this is what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, why you're going to do it, understand it. Okay. Now we're passing the basketball. This is the development side, right? 6 minutes of skills with directions and corrections, and this is how we do it. And then it's 6 minutes of play with very little direction and corrections, just reinforce what the game is. So in 15 minutes, you've heard about it, you've practiced it, and you've played it. Boom, get water, come back, go to the next thing. So for me, if things are systemized, it makes it easier for Parks and Rec coaches out there. Even if you're not great at it, you have a roadmap to make it a positive experience for the kids, understanding we may want them to learn, we may want them to win. You know what the kids want to do? They just want to play. So how do you suggest, as a parent, I'm a parent volunteer coach, or I'm involved in some way, how do I make sure that I blend the fun with the, oh, by the way, I want them to learn? How do we blend that?
Play games. Like it's so much about, like, you can do drills, but what you don't want is you don't want kids standing around.
Right.
And so you don't want just like one kid, like 6 kids waiting while 2 kids do something. Yeah. So like, even if I'll give you an example of what I do. I've got 2 other dads who will help me do this at our practice. We practice for an hour and a half once a week. So I set up 3 drills, and we have 12 girls on the team. We split it up 4 girls in each group, and dad 1 does this drill, dad 2 does this drill, and I do this drill. And we do it for 8 minutes. 8 minutes, take your water bottle with you, rotate. We're going to explain for 2. And so it takes 30 minutes to do that. And the kids are getting a ton of reps. We never have to do conditioning because they're running through this stuff. So whether it's basketball or soccer or what, they're constantly moving and going. So it's fun. Then we do a team thing where it's a game where or a situation where the entire team is involved. And then we just play. Yeah. Like my scrimmages it's U12 soccer. Our scrimmages, here's the teams. You figure out who plays what position. I don't care. Go figure it out. And we play no out of bounds. Like there's no, like, here's like, keep playing, figure it out. And the girls will do something. They just hear me, figure it out. Figure it out.
You know, one of my favorite things about that too, what we do, same concept, like we'd like to do small sided, because then, right, if we cut the field into thirds or whatever it is, and we do that, it really works out really well, because now when they're playing 3-on-3, they get lots of touches and lots of individual accountability. And when we line the kids up, if you got 10 kids, please don't do one line of 10. Don't even do 2 lines of 5.
No.
5 lines of 2, now you got this, right?
Yeah.
Because now you got opportunity to learn and you got opportunity to experience it, right? That's what we want. When you're talking about, if you're coaching, if you're a parent volunteer, movement as much as possible.
Well,
right?
and then what I do, so I've got a guy who's helped me, knows nothing about soccer, but he's a basketball coach. He's a basketball player.
Okay.
And so every time I ask him, I was like, Paul, think of it like a fast break in basketball. So you're going to roll the ball out, and just like a girl would chase a girl down on a fast break and play defense, right. That's what we're doing here. We're just doing it with soccer. Or we did a drill where like we had to teach the girls that like soccer is a physical sport. So like think of it as like guarding in the post. Like we put a ball behind them, and kids got to guard it, other kids got to get around to it. And so like it made sense to him. So if you're a parent coach, you don't have to know the sport in general. Like especially if you're under like 10 or 12 at the rec league, like the basics are the basics. We're just getting athletic movements out there.
Right.
And so like if you keep kids moving, like don't worry about bad habits or anything like that. Like we can fix anything as they get into middle school and high school pretty much.
But if they love playing, and again, like you said, even like contact, one of the things that I love doing in soccer and basketball particularly, but other sports as well, is we'll have them each dribble a ball and they have to shoulder into each other as they bounce in, because that's part of it, right? So if you can give them all these little experiences in a positive way, right? Try to keep dribbling while you're bouncing into them and you're moving things.
I had 2 girls this week I thought were going to murder each other. It's just their personality. They're both going after it, and they throw one to the ground. They get up laughing, but it's just those 2 girls. It's how they play. So I was like, hey girls, like we might get called for that in our rec league game. Up there in the middle school game, that's great. But just like, but they're up and giggling about it, and like I'm joking with them, like, hey, no one murder each other. Like they're having fun with it. And
so if we tie it back to the Parks and Recreations again, for me, I really believe, I'm hoping. I just wrote an article about this, reclaiming recreation. I'm hoping that we can work with more Parks and Recreation departments to bring what you're doing, what we're trying to do, to bring recreational play back. I'm wondering, what do you think that would help bring the fun of youth sports back into those communities, using in partnership with that rec level? Because the perception, and maybe you could talk about that first, maybe we should go there first, is that the perception is that the rec level is crap. The rec level is they never learn. The rec level is they're not competing. They're not. I disagree. What do you think about that perception? How we can kind of reframe that story?
It's hard because it's very sport dependent. In a sport like baseball and softball, once you get to kid pitch, like you've got the parents who just bring their kids out. The story I like to tell with this is a friend of mine, his son, he's got a 9th grader and a 7th grader. And he's like, man, we wanted to stay Little League. We wanted to stay rec league for so long, but I just had the same 3 kids that I was having to teach how to throw the ball every single year. And so like it got to be where we couldn't really do anything as they were getting into that 4th and 5th grade level. So that's when they went travel ball. And so I think there's a piece of it where rec ball's for everyone. Yes. But as parents, we got to know our kids too. We can't just force them into playing a sport because we want them to play that sport.
Right.
Because that's not good for anybody. That's not good for that kid. That's not good for the kids on their team. Like if a kid's out just playing in the dirt, like who does that benefit? It doesn't benefit the kids. It doesn't benefit the coach. It doesn't benefit, like mom and dad are probably having to force the kid out the door. Like, so our goal as parents, and I think we have to start here. Our goal as parents is to help our kids find what they're passionate about and then facilitate those passions. It's not to have them play the game that we thought was best. Yeah. So your kid might not like baseball, but he might love jiu-jitsu. He might not love whatever. And so it starts with, like, we need to have grace for kids who have never played before.
Yeah.
But as parents, we have to have awareness that if we tried this and the kid's not getting it and doesn't care, then maybe it's not for them. Right. It doesn't mean we're quitting or failing. It just means we're helping them find what is their thing. Yeah.
And if you, my kid played on an elite travel team, this and that. Well, he never played. He was on the team.
Right.
Is he getting better? I mean, maybe through osmosis, but is he going to have is she going to have so much fun that she falls in love with? There's nothing wrong with playing down. There's nothing wrong with being a leader. And it might just be for the one season. I got a parent that just had messaged me the other day and said, my daughter's an elite player. She was the lead at the Boys and Girls Club, by far the best player in the league. She needs to play up. And I said, well, in our league, she plays with her age group, and that's what's going to happen. So in third grade, she'll play with the other third graders. And you know what? If she ends up being a leader and the best player, and that's great, then she'll learn those skills, and then we can have the conversation. But I feel like we're concerned that our level of what the public sees us as the quality of parent we are is based on how good of an athlete or how skilled our child is. And I think that's a mistake.
So I have two routes I could go, and I'm going to let you pick. I could push a little against what you said about playing up, or I could go the route of we're worried about people.
Let's go both.
Okay.
Go for both.
So I am a big fan of playing up in rec league.
Okay.
If a kid's not being challenged, allow them to play up. So I did this a couple years ago. Like my son was in U8 soccer. It was his eight-year-old year, and our team that year, the closest we got in a game we won was 12-4. Everything was worse than that. So it stopped being challenged. Like I had like 4 or 5 kids that were in the older year, the 8-year-old year, not the 7-year-old year. So I was like, you know what? We all need to go to U10 in the spring.
Okay.
So we went up, and they were the youngest kids there, but they were challenged. Like it would have been too easy for them in the fall, and it wouldn't have been fair to other kids because they just dominated. Not because they were so great. It's just my son's a giant. Like he's not that skilled. He's just big. Yeah. And he was not intimidated. He would not go for the ball because he was scared he was going to knock a kid down. So for his development, quote unquote, he needed to move up. And so I would rather in elementary school play up a year in rec league than go to a travel team.
Okay, so press pause there for a second. So I agree wholeheartedly. My comment is she's coming out of second grade, and they're called elite at second grade, which
There's
I don't
no
know.
such thing as elite athlete before puberty. So go on.
So when they come into third grade and they're already coming into a bigger league, 2,400 kid league, where they're in a by the way, 7-kid team that played 2 teams. Let's just start.
Methods are many, principles are few. Methods may change, principles may.
Amen.
So challenge your kids, but if you're going in, at least play the league one season to see if you need to move up, and then if you do, then go do it.
Yeah, and because it was about the parent's ego instead of what was right for that child, and I know what's going to happen this year. She's going to have a good season, but I also know there's some pretty good girls on those teams, and I think she'll be matched well. And that's part of my job as league administrator, president of the league, to say, hey, here's what we're going to do, holding those principles. All right.
Yeah.
Give me the other side. We're running on time, so give me the other side.
The next piece of this that I just want to hit on is this idea of self-love and self-glory. And it sounds like a big idea, but I believe so much of what drives us is this idea of and this desire for self-love and self-glory, which is 100% natural, by the way. So what I mean by that, I'm pulling up the definitions now just so I can give you the exact definition. I got to find it.
It sounds a little bit like.
There we go.
Okay, you got it. Go.
Yep. Self-love is regard for one's own well-being and happiness. Self-glory is an often unjustified feeling of being pleased with oneself or with one's situation or achievements. So at the core of us is a desire for self-love and self-glory, which isn't inherently bad. Wanting other people to think you're competent at what you do, that's a normal and natural thing.
Right.
But when we let that drive the bus and make people, and we think, hey, they're going to think I'm a better parent if my kid makes this elite team.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to feel like a better parent if I do that because I judge those other parents too. When that drives the bus instead of, hey, my kid just wants to play with their buddies.
Right.
Or when this idea of I'm afraid they're going to get left behind or they're not going to be able to catch up, that is a self-love and self-glory type of thing because you feel like you're a failure if your kid gets left behind. And natural feeling.
Yep.
But if we can't get past our fears and insecurities, we're going to do unhealthy things.
But if you pay attention, we hold these truths to become self-evident just let it be. That's the part to me is so crazy. I think at times, parents, we have to trust the process. We have to realize that our job, you said it earlier, is to do a couple things. I'm going to add to it. One is to put them in a position where, and give them the opportunity to develop a passion, and then put them in a position to go. And also we have to encourage them to take healthy risks. Like you said, bravery, right? Bringing full circle as we go forward. We have to do that. So as we close up here today, thank you, man. Your knowledge and the passion you bring forward. I want to make sure we get a chance to connect with you. I do want to make sure if you're a Parks and Rec professional and you're struggling to get recreational programming in your community, reach out to the National Academy of Athletics. My team can help you to figure out who's the right, what we call community partner. Some call it vendors, some call it contractors, but community partner that have the right mentality. Because when Parks and Recreation take the lead in the youth sports space, I believe it is massively amazing and wonderful for those communities, and you will have more and more kids come back to sport, and that's what we need. I would like, not just to thank you, Jonathan, but again, you mentioned your newsletter. Give some information. We'll put it out there, and I'll share it as well. But I want to know, how do people follow you? How do people like you? How do people connect with you? Talk to me, man.
So everything is branded Healthy Sports Parents. So healthysportsparents.com has all of it. If you just need one simple hub, it's at Healthy Sports Parents on any social media platform that you follow. That's the name of the podcast. We're in the middle of season 2 with that right now. So anything you want will be there. The weekend playbook is a once a week email that I guess I send out on Fridays to help you have a better weekend. We've got a merch shop open. Main reason I'm doing that is because I'm writing the Healthy Sports Parents book. And I had a publisher tell me that, hey, it's cool you have all these followers, but I can't prove that they're going to be customers. So I'm just trying to show, like, hey, they'll buy a $20 t-shirt. So if I get enough people buying t-shirts, then publishers will publish the book.
All right, let's go buy the books. Let's get on there and do that.
And then the other thing is, it's the Healthy Sideline Toolkit for people who are Parks and Recs. It's for $199 one-time fee. You get 12 emails that are plug and play that you can send out to all of your parents in your league to have a healthy sideline culture where parents are promoting joy and effort and those things that you don't have to think about. You don't have to write. All you got to do is pop them into your communication software, and they're there for you.
Love
you get
it.
that at healthysportsparents.com as well.
I appreciate it. I'm going to be in North Carolina soon. I'm going to buy you lunch like we talked about. Thanks, everybody, for being a part of the Youth Sports Mastery Show today, where we get to talk about everything where kids get to talk, teach, and play. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product? Growing your presence in public spaces? Targeting cities, counties, or departments? DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.